Thank you very much. I mean, really, that question shouldn't even arise of Dunga meeting with people. It's a publicly communicated meeting. It is held in open, and people are called according to the database of the municipality. The story has been people are not being paid in Ikuruleni, and that people are paid through surnames, and that people are paid by paying a bribe to be paid. And Dunga called that meeting to hear everybody out in the presence of the officials, where a real case is being made. A person is referred to the relevant table, and a decision is made there and there that this matter must be resolved. And a report we received over the weekend is that a lot more other people have been paid following that intervention by our MMC, irrespective of who they are and all of that. It is those type of meetings we need from our public representatives, where they are transparent about what they are doing. They said trucks were missing. They went to look for the trucks. They didn't find the trucks. So they've got an inventory that says, these are the trucks that are here. Then they said, call all of them into one place. And then they found incomplete trucks. And then they say they are going to open a case. I don't know DP if they've opened a case. They're going to open a case and all of that. The immediate government that left there is the DA. So you would expect the DA to be the suspect, because they should have seen that the trucks are missing, or they just simply didn't have interest or anything of that sort. In its typical nature, the ANC is the first one to jump and say there are no trucks missing. There are no trucks missing. Because when you utter the word corruption, the ANC is the first one to jump, because as Africans, we've got more than one name. So the ANC has got two names. It's ANC, the other name is corruption. So when you say corruption, you are calling them. That's why they respond. We're shocked, like, where do they come in? They are not the immediate government. We are trying to demonstrate to all doomsayers that where the DA governs better is not true. The trucks got missing under the DA. Who responds? The corrupt one says, no, there are no trucks missing here. Instead of joining the EFF to look for the trucks, because we know the people who are using those trucks are black Africans in the townships. Without those trucks, there won't be service delivery to our people. No, they defend corruption. So we can't allow that. We're not in any coalition with the ANC. Someone says the relationship is somehow deteriorated or any. There's never been any relationship. We've never had a relationship with the ANC. Nothing. We, from time to time, like we are going to do even when we are in government, if the DA puts a good motion that is in the interest of our people, we'll vote for it. We don't owe our allegiance to anyone. We are independent. We are not in a coalition with the ANC. Now, the South African media has been trying to coerce this narrative that we are in coalition with the ANC. We are not. And if you want to challenge me, produce a proof now. I will resign with immediate effect. We have no coalition with the ANC. Nothing. If the ANC comes and says, let's remove this mayor of a DA, and we agree with them, we remove that mayor of the DA. Then the ANC comes and says, let's vote for this one as a mayor, we vote for that one as a mayor. But we have never made a mistake of voting for them. So what type of a coalition partner is this one who doesn't vote for you? So in Mangaung, recently, we went to remove the DA, and then the ANC put a candidate. We voted against the ANC candidate in Mangaung. So which coalition are you talking about? In Mfuleni, we are going to vote against an ANC mayor because that city is rotten. If you want to see the typical ANC-led government, which is obsessed with self and has lost interest of the people, go to Mfuleni. We can't have an ANC mayor in Mfuleni. No. If you want to rescue that place, let's go and remove the Mfuleni mayor of the ANC, because we are not in coalition with the ANC. We are not in discussion with the ANC about anything. Anything. So, actually, Mbalula issued an instruction to a Free State that they must never talk to the EFF. Yeah, because here in Metsimaholo, we want to remove the mayor of the DA. Mbalula said, no, they must not talk to the EFF in the whole of Free State. But a mayor, an incompetent mayor of the DA can easily be removed here in Metsimaholo, and a progressive mayor who will put a government of national unity at a local level can be elected. That's how much we are not in talks with the ANC. We really shouldn't be even saying the EFF is going to talk to the ANC. We're not. We're not in alliance with the ANC. If there is any corruption that is going to happen in Ekurhuleni, or any corruption that is going to happen in Johannesburg, or Mogale City, or Western, we will expose a fellow MMC. We'll expose, we'll talk openly as if we are not in an MMC position. We are not in an MMC arrangement of corruption. We are not. That's why we can speak openly in Ekurhuleni as MMCs of the wrong things that are happening there. Anywhere, and that's what the ANC must get used to. We will not conceal corruption in the name of we are all MMCs. No, don't steal. Deliver to our people. Then you will have peace. The corrupt ANC of Ekurhuleni, Jongezizwe, is always is a lecky of Mzwandile Masina. And then he's suffering from Mzwandile Masina's bitterness. So Jongezizwe has joined Masinya. It's no longer Masina, it's Masinya. 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 Yeah? There is a faction there of the ANC in Ekurhuleni called Masinya faction, which messes up everything. If it's not Mzwandile eating, no one is going to eat. We are going to put soil in this plate. So the Masinya faction is the one that is corrupt and that is very scared of the EFF, which is going to expose corruption. Even that ANC resolution of when you are in majority, you must be the mayor. You have not won the election. But it's a Masinya proposal, if you remember. Now that he has found his way into the NEC, he went to put that Masinya proposal in the NEC, and they foolishly adopted it. Who's going to vote for you? Because you are making the same mistake the DA is making. No one is going to vote for you. The coalition politics should be, and a position that should be taken is, go and persuade and be persuaded. Not, no, anywhere where you got the majority, you must go in. That majority you got is not an indication that the people want you. The indication that the people want you is a decisive majority, 50% plus one. If you didn't receive that, you can't say, arrogantly alone. No, everywhere where we've got a majority, we must be a mayor. It's an arrogant position that will leave you in the cold. But Mzwandile Masenya is the one that has been advocating for that position. They must look at where Masenya is. Mzwandile Masenya. And that's where the ANC is going. They are going to the cold where Masenya is. If they are going to follow Masenya coalition ideology. The private, well, we don't support anything of Minister of Electricity. He never said anything that we said here. He will never come close to thinking like this. Sputler is corrupt. He collapsed that ANC leadership in Tshwane. It's him. Tshwane, to be where it is today, is Sputler. South Africans, you are so gullible. So gullible that a person collapses a municipality. A municipality. You say he can restore such a complex matter as electricity. He himself said he doesn't know anything. He's relying on those people who have been there failing us. He made a confession. So why must I even ask for more power for him? For what? These solutions we are talking about require no new ministry. Firstly, we don't want a minister of electricity. We're fine. Take the electricity from public enterprise, put it in energy. That's where it's supposed to be. Its policy direction and its businesses be run by one department and one minister. An energy department is not montage. That's the problem. That when you are talking about principle, you guys bring names. It's not montage. So take it from where it is, put it there, and then implement these solutions. So it's a coordination, especially Eskom implementation, should not be far from policy. They should be together. And we have effective ministry that is overseeing Eskom. Eskom doesn't decide which minister we're listening to today, depending on personal relationships between whoever is running Eskom and that minister. Let Eskom be under one political leadership and political authority so that they know they have no option but to take this political direction. So we don't support a minister of electricity. He must go. He's being paid a lot of money that we do not have. The government needs every little cent that we are wasting on Sputler, who's not going to help us with anything. He's not going to help us with anything. The appointment of the Minister of Electricity was actually bluffing. It was Ramaphosa trying to show us that he's doing something about electricity crisis when he was actually not doing anything. The biggest achievement Sputler has achieved since he arrived there was to go to all power stations. How can that be an achievement? That a minister was taking zwabs, a jiga, a Twara the station, di mumaka chalena the power station, a power station, are you? Ntweso. There's nothing he was doing except to tour stations. And then that becomes the biggest ANC victory. A minister of electricity has done something that no minister has ever done in a short space of time, and that is visiting power stations. After that visit, do we have electricity? No, the situation has worsened. In the next 2 weeks, we have been warned. There's going to be darkness. We are almost at a point of grid collapse. It's a reality that South Africans must know. that we are heading to darkness and ANC politicians are continuing business as usual, as if we are not in a crisis. We are in a deep, deep, deep crisis. Cell phone networks will not work. Water, even if we have it, we won't receive it because it needs electricity. Nothing is going to function. We're heading for a disaster worse than what COVID was. No one will go to work. The dead will have to be buried the same day because there will not be fridges to keep them. No generator is meant to operate 24 hours. Generator is an intervention for a short while. Even those who have generators will not be saved from the mess we are going into. We want you. We went to the streets because we knew this was coming. History will absolve us. We were called names, we were ridiculed, we were insulted. Police and the army were called on us for trying to protect us from where we are. They are just calling it stage 10 for nice word. The reality is that it's darkness. And it's not going to be darkness of 12 hours or 24 hours, it comes back. No. At times it's going to take 3 to 4 days. At times it will take a week. At times it will take a month without electricity. The whole leadership must go. We cannot fall back and do nothing. And you know what is the problem? Even ANC leaders and ANC veterans themselves are saying, we've never been in a crisis we find ourselves in now. But they are so helpless. So, Brian must come back. Brian must come back. Matshela Koko must come back. So is all those Indian, colored, white engineers. We are in a crisis. They must not even, if they love this country, they must not ask for money, they must not ask for payment, they must come and rescue South Africa. Allegations were made against Brian, allegations were made against Koko. Commission was put in place, useless commission in the history of our country, where serious light was shed with the chairperson of the commission. Some information in relation to this a mining company that Brian was speaking about, which later came to be confirmed that indeed it was paying bribes internationally. Glencoe. But did our favorite judge say anything about that? They never wanted Brian because Brian knew how to pile and pile and pile coal. And after piling, he turns against these monopolies and say to them, this is my price, or you can go. They never liked him because they couldn't bully him around. When there were allegations of corruption and the Guptas, we all had a reason to say he must be investigated. Because so he had to be investigated, asked questions and all of that. Mara, hey, we are heading for a crisis. And yeah, it's a man who can come and help us. Including that former CEO who came to present. Marocha must come back. All of these guys must come back and put their heads together and say, how do we save our country? There's no time now for profit making. We call even on monopolies to just stop it, because they are the ones who are pursuing these guys so that they can capture Eskom and maximize profit. They must stop. They must just stop. It's not time to politic now. We are in a crisis. And everybody, I'm not saying Brian's charges must be dropped or anyone's charges must be dropped. They have not been found guilty. I'm not saying go and fetch them in jail. They are at home. I'm not saying drop their charges or continue with whatever you are doing with them, but bring them here to come and help us. We have a problem here. We have a problem. And can't you see as a country that we have a problem? And we listen to people who have 2 passports. People who, when we are in crisis, they are just going to leave easily and go to London and leave us in crisis here after we have gone against each other. We are so scared of these people so much that if they hate one of us, all of us, then go and hate one of our own. The man has got a skill. That's why when he went back to Eskom, the workers were celebrating every corner, because they knew that a man who can take us out of this trouble is this one. The capacity, the ability to take rational decisions that are in the best interest of our country. So I must emphasize this. I'm not saying drop his charges. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is we are in a crisis. A man is here with a skill. Can't we humble ourselves and go and ask him to come and help us with this crisis we're confronted with? That ambassador of the USA was supposed to be taken out of our country the following day. He insulted us. He violated diplomatic protocols. That's why he was sanctioned. And then he started speaking in folk tongues and we didn't hear what he was saying. But a man who speaks like that in the name of diplomacy, you immediately withdraw his credentials. That man's credentials were supposed to be withdrawn. There are lots of protocol channels that are established for those types of concerns. He could have utilized those channels to go and raise his concerns. But to create such atmosphere for our country, to create such doubt and smear our country in a manner he did, and he still hasn't come out to apologize. He says, no, maybe things were not put the way, maybe they were misunderstood. But we understood him. So that's not the type of a guy we need. So if there were guns that were given to Russia, it was a good thing. I would have done the same as a president of the Republic. But I don't think these ones have got capacity, Shem. Unless you are talking Nopkiris and spear and all those types of things. But real stuff, I don't know what is it that Russia doesn't have, which came here to look for. But Russia must be given a practical support. Because when we needed one, they didn't give us a non-alignment position. They didn't give us this neutral nonsense position. They gave us arms. They gave us arms. That's how much we relate with Russia. So I'm asking myself, who can sneak out the weapons in this country? And why didn't the DA or Freedom Front know? Because they are the ones who control all strategic sectors of South Africa. In the armaments, white Afrikaner males are there. You can't take any armaments out of this country without them leaking such information with immediate effect and taking it pictures. Tondi Mudisa is going to sneak out weapons with who? Helped by who? So Andre and Jamnandas, they deserve each other, Shem. They can bite each other anyhow they want, it's okay. But I'm happy that Andre is telling us what we've been telling you about Jamnandas. After establishing a rogue unit at SARS, he went to establish a rogue unit now at Eskom. He said to Andre, you must find a way of doing this investigation. So that apartheid investigation that was not sanctioned procedurally, it's a replica of what happened at SARS. Everywhere he goes, he establishes rogue units. He went to establish a rogue unit of apartheid generals who are not driven by anything but hatred of democratic dispensation. And they will do everything in their power to undermine democratic dispensation. So there is some laziness, elite politics, palace politics that have crept into the EFF parliamentary caucus and legislatures and councils, where people are no longer doing things the way we used to do things. The vibrancy of the EFF can no longer be felt. Half the time, half the caucus is sick. When you ask for sick note, they all get sick note of the same date. So you can see that why it gets it. Because we've said, let's leave this to those who are assigned to deal with these things, to lead them. But we've experienced some level of deterioration, some even bordering on members of the EFF, certain committees being co-opted and aligned with ministers. As a result, they've never asked a minister a single question. They've never submitted a motion without notice. They've never released a single press statement about their department. So some may have to be excused very soon from that responsibility, because we are not going to harbor laziness. It was a huge debate this weekend in the CCT that the vibrancy of the EFF can no longer be felt in Parliament. And therefore this now invites us back into Parliament to go and make sure that we crack the whip and people toe the line. It's not only in Parliament, in the legislatures and councils, and some other councils are worse, because a councillor since the beginning of a year has never been to council. And nothing will happen to me, because if anything happens to me is dictatorship. We'll not allow that nonsense. We'll rather be called dictators. We're not going to allow people to go to council, to go to legislature, to go to Parliament, to go and steal the money of the poor. They get paid for doing that work, and they must do it without fail. That is in relation to EFF MPs. It's not a crisis point. It's at the beginning, and it must be nipped just at the beginning, so that we don't have people who exist amongst us as revolutionaries and activists, only to find that actually we have been joined by ANC envious. People who have been envying the ANC and wishing they can be where the ANC is and do nothing. We have a big problem with people who go on top and do nothing. That is one of the biggest problems with Ramaphosa. Men on top doing nothing. So we don't allow such things in the EFF. And we're transparent about it. because it's called in the EFF constitution constructive self-criticism. Thank you. I think I answered everything.